Hey everyone, ready to dive into a real mystery with us today? We're talking billions of dollars, missing persons, ancient traditions, butting heads with the modern world, the whole shebang.
You got it. And we're going deep on unclaimed property in Malaysia, and specifically how it intersects with Islamic law. It's definitely got some surprising layers to it.
We're talking billions of ringgit just sitting there. But here's the thing, it's not like, forgotten bank accounts or people fighting over inheritances. This money is frozen because the actual owners, they've vanished. Poof.
Exactly, and that's where al-mafqud comes into play. In Islamic law, it's this term for someone who's gone missing, and crucially, nobody knows if they're alive or dead. It's like, think of MH370, those kinds of sudden disappearances. They just bring up so many issues about property and who inherits what.
It really makes you stop and think. I mean, lots of places, after a while, they just say, okay, missing person's assets, it's part of their estate now. But Malaysia's legal setup, it's got this whole other layer, right?
You're spot on. Malaysia's got this dual legal system, civil law, which is like a lot of countries, and then Shariah law governing Islamic matters. And when it comes to declaring someone dead, well, those two don't always agree.
Ah, okay, so that's where the friction comes in. Break it down for me. How do those legal views clash?
So picture this. Under Malaysian civil law, gone for 7 years, you can be declared dead. But a lot of Sharia law interpretations in Malaysia, they say 4 years. Problem is, even though you need the civil law declaration for inheritance, this difference, it creates this gray area,
Mhm.
especially with property owned by, you guessed it, someone considered al-mafqud.
Man, it's wild how two legal systems, side by side, can make things so complicated. So even if a family thinks, okay, our loved one is gone, their stuff is just stuck.
Exactly. Until the civil court issues a death certificate, that property is frozen solid. Heirs, government, nobody can touch it. And here's where the conflict gets even deeper when Islamic law, it's big on using wealth for good, benefiting the community. This whole frozen thing, it goes right against that.
Feels like we're talking about a system struggling to catch up with a really specific situation. This Al-Mafqud thing, it's more than just a legal quirk. It's got real consequences for folks.
Absolutely. You've got families in this awful limbo, missing their loved ones, then having to deal with all this legal uncertainty on top of it, and zoom out, missed opportunities galore. Resources that could build schools, help those in need, even boost Malaysia's economy, just stuck in this bureaucratic traffic jam.
That's a lot to wrap your head around, that's for sure. So we've got families in limbo, potential for good going untapped, all because of this clash between how these legal systems view Al-Mafqud.
And it's not even just the law itself. Our sources, they point to social and emotional factors too, adding even more to this whole multi-layered thing.
Okay, yeah, let's dig into those social and emotional sides because I have a hunch they play a huge role in how all of this actually plays out.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine being that family member, right? You're not only dealing with someone vanishing, but you've got this legal maze to navigate maybe financial hardship on your shoulders
It's
too.
just a crushing weight, especially without some kind of guidebook, some clarity on where to even begin.
Right? And that lack of awareness, that's a huge part of it. Many families, they've got no idea about their rights, how to work the legal system to figure out the Almaquad's property, then pile on the emotional weight, clinging to hope, holding on to things with sentimental value, maybe even family feuds erupting.
Mhm.
It complicates everything.
So yeah, the human side of it, the grief, the hoping against hope, the family dynamics all tangled up in what someone might think is just a legal matter
Uh-huh.
adds a whole other layer to this frozen asset problem.
You said it. It's legal hurdles, social realities, and deep emotions all mingling. Definitely calls for a nuanced approach, that's for sure.
It's clear this whole situation, it's just tough all around for families, for everyone. But what if, and stick with me here, what if we flipped the script? Instead of frozen assets, we thought about the potential, the good that could be done.
Love that you're thinking that way because reframing, it's key. Imagine this. Some of these unclaimed funds, they're used to create an agency, right? Specifically for al-Mafqud cases.
Now you're talking. Sounds like we'd be tackling those logistical roadblocks
Yeah.
and putting those resources to work at the same time. Two birds, one stone.
Exactly. Think about it. This agency, staffed up right, they could give legal help to families going through this. Guidance on claiming assets, navigating the courts, actually finding some kind of closure.
So instead of feeling lost, families have someone in their corner, a little hope when things are rough. This agency could really change the game, make the whole process more human.
100%. And let's not forget the bigger picture, this agency, they could manage the El Mafquad's property the way Islamic principles intended, making sure that wealth benefits the community just like it should.
Okay, now I'm seeing the potential here. But what would that look like, practically speaking? How do you use these assets to actually do good?
So picture this. Part of the funds go straight to helping families of Al-Mafqud who are struggling. Financial aid, education, job training, giving them a real leg up.
Taking a heartbreaking situation and making something positive out of it. Pretty powerful stuff.
And that's just the start. We could have education initiatives funded directly by these assets. Scholarships for kids who need them, building schools in underserved areas, even Islamic study centers, spreading that knowledge.
The kind of stuff that impacts people for generations.
Yeah.
Amazing to think about the good that could be done, not just for the immediate families, but for everyone.
Exactly. And economically speaking, imagine these assets being invested strategically, boosting the economic power of Muslims in Malaysia. Think about WAF, for example.
Wow, that's ringing a bell. It's like,
It's a charitable trust, an Islamic endowment. You donate assets, they're used for good forever.
so instead of being frozen, this money creates a constant stream of support for the community. Projects that keep on giving.
You got it. These WAC could fund microloans for small businesses, pay for local infrastructure, even support healthcare. The sky's the limit, really.
We've gone from frozen assets to like a gold mine of possibilities here.
Yeah.
But how do we actually make it happen? Seems like a tall order with everything we've talked about.
It's a challenge, for sure, but not impossible. And the best part, we don't have to start from scratch.
Oh, you mean there are other countries they've faced this kind of thing, unclaimed property, and figured it out?
Right. The US, Canada, Australia, they've all got systems for managing this stuff. Now, their legal stuff, their cultures, they're different from Malaysia's, sure. But there are lessons to be learned, absolutely.
So by looking at how they handle unclaimed property, even if it's not about Al Mafqud specifically, Malaysia could pick up some good ideas, adapt them.
Exactly. See what's working, tweak it to fit their own laws, culture, and religion. And like we said, that dedicated agency, it's crucial to making sure everything runs smoothly.
Right, some central authority that gets both civil and Shariah law can cut through the red tape and provide a clear, compassionate way to handle these cases. They'd have their work cut out for them, for sure.
And here's a thought. That agency, they could become the experts on unclaimed property and Islamic law. Other Muslim-majority nations, they could learn from Malaysia, follow their lead.
It's amazing how something so specific to Malaysia could have ripple effects around the world. Shows how interconnected we all are.
It really does. And at the end of the day, we have to remember, this isn't about numbers on a balance sheet. It's about people, their lives, what they leave behind, and all the good we could be doing with what's just sitting there.
So much to think about already. I guess a big takeaway for me is this isn't a dead end. It's a chance to rethink how we do things, find a fairer way forward. But like you said, it's got to be done carefully. It really is about finding that balance, respecting what Al Mafqud means, but not letting these resources just sit there when they could be doing good.
Yeah, finding solutions that work practically but are still sensitive to, like you said, the cultural and religious side of it. That's what makes this such a fascinating topic to dig into.
No doubt. It's more than just laws and economics, right? It goes deeper, touches on beliefs and traditions. Makes you wonder, can you even square those two? Like, make them work together?
The million-dollar question right there. Can we honor how Islam views wealth, how inheritance works, and take care of the families, the communities affected by these disappearances?
It's like one of those real-life ethical puzzles. No easy answers, but a lot riding on it. We've tossed around some ideas today, but what's the biggest thing we need to actually move forward, do you think?
Honestly, people got to talk to each other. Legal folks, religious scholars, community leaders, the families who've been through it. No one-size-fits-all solution here. You need everyone at the table understanding the culture, the religion, the laws, all of it.
You're right. It can't just be some top-down thing. It's like, remember we talked about Canada. They use some unclaimed money for things like college scholarships. Could that work with Al Mafqud even before there's an official declaration? Using some of it for education, helping people in poverty, things like that, all while still following Islamic law.
Now, there's an idea. Maybe you could have a system where, I don't know, a chunk of the assets goes into a trust, right? And that trust, it can only be used for things that fit with Islamic values, like you said, helps people right away, but still respects all the legal stuff around Al Mafqud.
Finding that middle ground, yeah. Not forcing anything, but actually exploring what could work.
Exactly. Get the conversation going, build understanding, and then work together. Who knows, Malaysia might even come up with something totally new, a new way to handle unclaimed property that the rest of the world can learn from.
Yeah, it'd be something. Well, listeners, we've thrown a lot at you today. Law, culture, the very real impact of El Mafquad on people. And sometimes, like on a lot of our deep dives, the biggest takeaway isn't a simple answer, is understanding the questions better.
Couldn't have said it better. Get people curious, get them thinking, and maybe they'll even go explore this stuff on their own.
So one last thought before we go. What if this whole thing, tradition and modern life bumping up against each other, what if it could actually lead to something better? Not just in Malaysia, but everywhere. It's a long shot, but the potential's there. That's all for this deep dive, folks. Catch you next time.